folks who don't know, what happens with the legislature is they go in and they write some laws and they give them to the governor, and she either signs or vetoes them.
And she makes a sacrifice to Baal before she makes her decision, so that he can guide her on her unholy path. I'm sorry, am I disrespecting the office of the great office of the Arizona governor?
Oh well, that might very well be how she makes her decision. Yeah. She does some really wacky stuff. So after she signs it, so the law that she signs has a start date, usually 90 days after the day it passes through 90 days after the end of that session of the legislature. And that 90 days for the first session came up on Friday.
Right. So
everything they did in the beginning of the year is actually a law now.
Okay.
It wasn't a law until
Friday.
So some interesting new laws.
All right, lay it on me. I'm ready. I'm not ready.
All sorts of like fun, wacky stuff. I'm not going to really want to talk too much about the legislative decision to remove the word idiots from the law. Idiots no longer exist.
Idiots legally. And lunatics, right? I believe it's idiots and lunatics.
I believe lunatic is still in, but
okay.
the laws that they were changing said idiot or lunatic.
Okay.
I believe lunatic is still in. I don't know for sure. I think the term idiot, if anything, now we can refer to the Arizona legislature with a term that isn't offensive to the mentally ill community.
So, fair enough. So basically, what they're saying is you can't use the word idiot to refer to the mentally ill. Is that?
Well, yeah. I mean, they've
officially
in the law they've changed places where it said idiot to mentally ill.
Okay.
That's pretty much all.
Yeah. I mean, frankly, that's why didn't that happen sooner? The meaning of that word has totally changed over the past, 200 years.
Yeah, you'd think they'd be on top of that sort of thing, but actually, it turns out that in my hour or so of research for this.
Whoa! Don't pull back the curtain there, buddy.
Whoa, sorry.
I worked hard for this.
In my long, dedicated search through the minutia of all the legislative nonsense, I found out that the vast majority of stuff that they did this year, all of these 255 new laws, that's right, 255. So
255.
The vast majority of them are actually just changing the wording on existing laws.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Okay, so I'm just going to tell this story briefly since we're talking about the wording of laws, which is that when I was an intern with the Arizona Students Association, one of the things we did is we went down to the state capitol, and it was called LobbyCon, and we all got together, all the ASA members from NAU and ASU and the U of A people all got together and stayed in a hotel for a few days. That was awful. ASU kids get drunk a lot and they're loud. I'm sorry, that's just my experience. But beyond that, this was when the Senate Bill 1474 was being discussed, which was the one that would have not only allowed guns on college campuses, but would have demanded that the school raise tuition so that they could build gun lockers, because they wanted them on campus but not in the classrooms. So this was So this was something that we were all very interested in as college students. So they were deciding. Oh wait, was it that one? Man, now I'm getting mixed up. There was some law that we were against. Let me put it this way. You know what? No, this is not the gun locker thing. This was the bill about tuition funding. The one they got on the Prop 204.
Oh, right.
This was Prop 204 from the last election cycle that would have funded or prevented the defunding rather of education and failed miserably. Yay. But I had the opportunity to sit in on the legislative hearing about the wording of the information that would be sent out to the public about this ballot initiative.
That sounds like loads of fun. I'm going to guess 6 hours.
Oh my God, no. Thankfully, at least I wasn't there that long. I don't know how long everybody else was there for. Oh my God. There are it was so sad because you've got 9 Republicans and 3 Democrats on this panel, right? So the Democrats know that they're not going to get anything they want through. And the Republicans are like, and no, they'll get whatever they want through, basically. So they're like, the Republicans are going in this, in depth. They're like, oh, what does this word mean? What could this word suggest to the voter? Maybe we can change this word. What does it mean by athletic? What do you mean by tuition? What do you mean by in-state? What does in-state mean? Blah, 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 blah. Just going off, trying to find any way possible that they could twist this to somehow to their advantage. And the Democrats just didn't care. I mean, they're wandering out of the room and coming back like half an hour later. Hey guys, what's happened? What have we decided? We have no say here, so what'd you guys do? It was the most boring and also enlightening look at the way the state legislature works, but also boring, I want to stress. So, sorry, go ahead and continue.
Yeah, I mean, that's my understanding of a lot of the whole legislative process.
What these people
it's
do.
Really, tedious, mindless nonsense.
255 new laws, and most of them are changing words in existing laws.
I'm fairly certain, I can't quote which one it was, I'm fairly certain that one of them, because I was reading them, one of them specifically just changed on to on, and will got changed to shall.
Oh no,
and
will got changed to shall?
Yeah.
How's Will going to feel about that?
I don't know. I don't know. Although, speaking from my limited understanding of legalese, will is optional, shall is required. So, I mean, it's kind of significant legally, but realistically, they're changing 6 words and calling it a new law.
Okay, I mean, yeah, that's messed up, but I'm kind of digesting the fact that if you say the word "will" in a legal contract, it means optional. That's kind of
it means you're suggested, or you're compelled, or it's compelled's a strong word. It's a thing that you are highly suggested and or encouraged to do.
You will do this if you want to.
Whereas shall is an absolute A always equals B sort of thing.
Okay, all right,
But
right.
Anyway, we digress
on.
into stuff. So some fun stuff. Some friends of mine, hometown shout out to the University of Arizona. Whoop, whoop.
Fuck you.
Tucson with them large.
Fuck you.
Researchers in Tucson are now legally at the University of Arizona are now legally able to research medical marijuana.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, doesn't belong.
My experience at the University of Arizona convinced me that most of those researchers had already done significant experimentation with marijuana.
I mean, I wouldn't. We're talking about academia. I mean, who isn't stoned on campus? Really?
Fair enough. Fair enough. I see drug deals going on campus every other day. But whatever.
Stuff for the civil libertarians amongst us. The photo radar laws. You've seen this where they have just a camera set up on the side of the highway.
Sure.
And it's got a radar attached to it, and if it sees you speeding, it takes a picture of you. That shit is illegal in the state now.
Oh.
Cities can put it on city roads, but no one can put them on state roads.
Okay. There was the great bit from comedian Augie Smith that who I'm very fond of. People, the police aren't even going to work anymore. They're just setting up a camera and sending you a bill. They're paparazzi. I love that guy. Anyway. We played George Carlin last week. I figured maybe we'll play some Augie Smith sometime. Sounds like fun.
So more sort of, I guess, interesting things.
Yeah.
So now you can't send unsolicited text messages via an automated system. You just can't. You can't get a bunch of text messages legally from within the state.
I don't know if you feel strongly about that or not, but I mean, I get them, I delete them, I don't think any more about them. I guess it's probably something that I would rather not have happen. I'm glad given the choice between them banning it and them making it mandatory, I think I would rather they ban it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, for me, sort of on a larger philosophical standpoint, I would say that any new law is a bad law. We've already got way too many laws. If we make a new law, it should be replacing 5 laws that we already have.
Yeah, fair enough. Are you saying that our legal system is in some way convoluted?
That might be something you could hear from what I just
Shame on
said.
you,
Something
anti-American.
something that you might like that just happens, and
okay.
you might really get excited about,
All right.
is that Arizona has now protected the right of people to, within their own business, if it's their religious preference not to do something for religious reasons, they don't have to.
Okay.
Specifically, this is specifically related to some wedding photographers in Texas that got sued for not photographing a gay marriage. Now in Arizona, if you photograph marriages, you can discriminate. You can hate people because your religion tells you it's okay to hate people. If you have
all religions do.
If you have a bakery and someone walks in with an upside down pentagram on their T-shirt,
You can tell them
you can
go fuck off.
refuse to serve them bread.
Wow. That's wow. Yeah, that's not constitutional as far as I understand the First Amendment.
Well, see, there's a funny thing, because the American Constitution specifies we have the right to religion. Any person can follow whatever religious beliefs they want. That contrasts with the French Constitution that says that people have the right from religion.
But
That
no,
is that
the American
religion
Constitution says that too.
No, it says right to religion. Right to be protected from a state-sanctioned religion.
Right, but the interpretation of the religions clause since the Constitution was written, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, has made it very clear that it is meant to be taken as freedom from religion. Now, it's not explicitly written that way, which is a problem.
As I understand it, it's freedom from having a religion imposed upon you.
Right, which is freedom from religion.
But I think, and I hope this goes. I don't know. I kind of wonder whether this should go to a larger court or not. I feel like the argument would be that this isn't imposing a religion. This is allowing people to express their religion in economic terms.
The free market works.
The free market.
Hallelujah.
The free market.
Oh my God!
That's
all right.
the argument I read here. I mean, I'm not.
Well, I mean, they've been doing this crazy shit. I mean, I'm going to do a bit of a shameless plug here, if you don't mind. Tomorrow, on my show, The Biased Liberal Media, which of course airs every Wednesday from 3 to 4, we will be interviewing the atheist comedian Ian Harris. He'll be calling in and talking about his upcoming show in Flagstaff, and I spoke to him on the phone today, and we discussed the fact that there are laws being debated right now that would completely remove the words "under God" from the Pledge of Allegiance.
Nice.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah. But that's, we're having a conversation because that's what the First Amendment says. You can't impose your religion on somebody. You can't force children in school to say the words "under God" because that violates your freedom to either practice your own religion or to avoid religion altogether.
And I mean, I think the Supreme Court has agreed with you sometimes, and,
Right.
and been a little more nebulous sometimes.
But the thing is, it's this relationship between state law and federal law, right? I mean, that's the issue, which I thought the federal law makes it pretty clear. I mean, there's the supremacy clause, right? If federal law says you do it, you do it.
Yes.
Despite the fact that state voters might vote for something else. I mean, that was, I don't know. I just think that might be where the conflict is coming in here, because these are all state laws that we're talking about. This is AC legislature shit. So, I just think that if the federal interpretation of the law says that the First Amendment should be read a certain way, then that's how it should be read. And of course, there are people who are going to try and game the system and screw with everybody, but
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could see that First Amendment case specifically on the photographer refusing to photograph a gay marriage.
Yeah.
I could see that going either way, especially if there's a well-established, well-crafted, nicely written law.
Oh yeah, well that's an art, right? I mean,
And it's not just an art; it's a profession. There's some folks that they call them ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council,
Oh,
that
those
gets
fucking
together
bastards.
and writes a bunch of these laws.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this could very well be like the entire religious right got together and got the best lawyer they could to come up with the best wording possible to pass it in Arizona, where it will definitely pass. I haven't read it. I don't know if that's the case, but I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah, fair enough. God, I hate Alec.
Yeah. Last time I got arrested was interfering with ALEC and their activities.
Well done.
So other things going on in the state now. Moving on. So there's a new law that says that if people turn over their guns to the police in some sort of like gun exchange program, no questions asked, we'll take the guns off the streets. Those guns have to go back on the streets.
Right, they can't be destroyed.
They can't be destroyed by no matter what. The police can't destroy guns. They have to resell them.
Okay, now how do you feel about this? Because I know you're somewhat pro firearms.
I am very much in favor of having as many guns in as many hands as possible, especially in the hands of poor people and people of color.
Okay. Now I'm just going to say one thing right now in response to that, because we've had this conversation many times.
Right.
And you know that I'm on the fence about the gun issue.
I would say you have some fairly strong leanings in another direction.
I have some fairly strong leanings in a not shooting people direction, and I apologize for that. But it's like I don't think that I totally understand your point about how the state uses violence, and we have to be able to protect ourselves and all that stuff. Whenever we had these conversations, you make very good arguments, and I have trouble refuting them. However, there was just a study done by the American, I believe it was the American Journal of Health. I'm just going to confirm that, but American Journal of Health did this study. Here it is. And, where is it? Yeah, American Journal of Public Health, yes. According to the study, for each 1% increase in gun ownership during the time they surveyed, the rate of people murdered by firearms increased by 0.9%. And they found that quote, states with higher rates of gun ownership had disproportionately large numbers of deaths from firearm-related homicides.
Okay, I could see that, although...
And we just had a dude go crazy at a naval base yesterday, man. Another one, again!
I don't know what that's about. I actually am not going to publicize on the air or on the internet some of my personal sort of first response, sort of off the cuff thoughts about that scenario. But I will say that I think that these particular getting guns out of cities sort of policies, right? Where if you have an old handgun you're never going to use, you can give it to the cops so they can destroy it and have one less gun that nobody wants on the streets.
Yes.
I think that's perfectly fine. I think that's a totally legitimate sort of program to cut down on violence in certain areas, especially poor on poor violence. And I think that the legislature kind of overstepped their bounds in like removing the ability for cities to have that as a thing that they're going to do. I think it's really there's no but about it. I think it's pretty fucked up that the legislature is like, well, your city has too many guns. Too bad. You need to keep them all. Too much gun violence. Too bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's the state. Again, I'm philosophically of the opinion that the local government should have more authority than the state government, and not the other way around.
Fair.
But I think it's a kind of ridiculous and very, very stupid statement on behalf of the NRA.
Okay. No, I agree. And just to wrap up this conversation, I just want to say, I am totally in favor of. I'm not one of those people who is saying, look, all we have to do is ban assault rifles and the problem will be solved. I think the problem has a lot to do with the conditions of our mentally ill, and I think the problem, as far as all these people going on shooting rampages, is concerned. I think the problem has a lot to do with the fact that people are starting to, you know, believe that we're living in the fucking end times, and you know,
and or snapping because we're living in unlivable conditions.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, that's metaphorically that's what I was trying to say. Anyway, so let's get into this some other different subjects. We'll be here all night
to close out the discussion on the legislature.
Yeah, close out the discussion on the legislature because it is almost 10:30. The education issue, education under attack again because the Arizona legislature hates teachers.
Yeah, I mean, when isn't under attack in this state? I mean, it's always been under attack.
It's so ridiculous. You know,
I think the state's motto is we're trying to be number one in the worst of possible education systems.
Well, yeah,
we're currently number 2, so we're trying.
The less we educate our children, statistically speaking, the more of our children will grow into racists and will want to protect the border. But
right, and support the racist legislature,
yeah, exactly,
and support all of the like nonsense that the current power structure is trying to keep in. So yeah, why not keep them ignorant so they can't question what the
right. So the Arizona legislature has made it easier to fire teachers who, according to who are not performing up to the standards of the administration. And
right, because school administrators know everything about what happens in a classroom.
School administrators, for the most part, have not fucking set foot in a classroom and don't know anything about this shit. The new law allows, this is from this article in the Daily Sun, a new law allows schools to place even experienced teachers on probation, which is the first step, of course, toward you're fired. And it also removes the 90-day requirement a school board has to give, or rather, a school board has to give a teacher a written preliminary notice of inadequacy before not. This article says before not re-employing that person. Okay, whatever. Double negative, son. Thanks. Before firing that person. Before shit canning that person.
Yeah. So it used to be that that if you thought a teacher wasn't doing very well, and you didn't want to shit can them, you just didn't want to hire them the next semester, you had to let them know 90 days in advance.
Yeah, and you had to go and if you were doing it because they weren't doing their jobs, you had to give them written notification of that, and you had
what they were doing and why.
There's a huge process that goes into this.
Yeah.
There's a huge review process. I'm not entirely sure what mechanisms, beyond the allowing them to place more experienced teachers on probation, removing the 90-day requirement for the written notice. I'm not sure what mechanisms they're planning on employing, but maybe none. But the fact of the matter is that, and I understand the argument where it's like, hey, people come up to me when I talk about this shit, and they'll say, well, I had this really horrible teacher once, and that teacher had tenure, so there's no way they get fired. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Except for, first of all, I'm not sure I'm judging how good a teacher is at teaching by the opinion of a student in that teacher's class.
A single student, or a handful of students.
Yes. 2, I'm definitely not doing it off the opinion of the administration, who doesn't know anything about education and only cares about their damn budget line. So,
Yeah, I mean, aside from budgets, we've also got like philosophical things, right? Where the administration is a political appointeeship.
Sure.
Right? You get that job because you're politically able to get into that job.
You know the right people.
And the school board likes you.
Yeah.
And in Arizona, a lot of times that will mean you're really conservative, you have certain beliefs on religion, you have certain beliefs on the role of religion in education.
Oh, man.
And so if you're an administrator who was brought in by I don't want to name any names, but say Tea Party leaning folks, and you were brought in by them to sort of further their agenda,
Steve King.
you can just go in and just fire all of the tenured teachers who are actually really good teachers, and replace them with people who agree with your personal religious or philosophical or political bent.
Right. Yeah, and I have a bit of a more personal involvement in this. My father's a high school teacher in Tucson. He's a very unorthodox high school teacher who has often been, on the edge of the knife, so to speak, in terms of losing his job for what he believes in and what he teaches. And I myself was going down that path for a while. I worked at elementary education for 8 years, and You know, I remember that one thing. The only thing I remember of what my dad said to me when I told him at one point that I wanted to be a teacher, he said, "That's great. Leave Arizona. don't be a teacher in Arizona because this education system will kill you."
Oh man.
So
words of wisdom.
Yeah. For sure. And then there's another thing from this education legislature that says that children injured in playground accidents won't automatically trigger a report to law enforcement, which I didn't even know that was a thing. Really, like in.
Yeah, I mean, apparently, I mean, we got to have like the nanny state out there making sure that we're all okay.
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, I never had to do that for just injuries. Like I had to call the cops on a kid once because he wouldn't go home. His parents were there to pick him up, and he refused to leave.
Whoa.
You know, but
Whoa, that sounds like a perhaps unpleasant home life.
Yeah, well, we had cops and CPS showed up that day, but
CPS is overworked and not without criticism, but I think
Sure.
some situations that's the only sort of folks who are able to like step in and analyze whether a home situation is.
I never had to I mean, so if the kid hits his head, you know, and like possibly suffered a head injury, like above the neck was the rule, then we gotta call his parents, gotta talk to his guardian or her guardian. But I never knew anything about it being required to inform law enforcement. Maybe that's new. I haven't been in
That
education.
must be a new thing.
I haven't been in education for a few years, so maybe that's a new thing. I don't know. But it's not true anymore. You still need to report to the parents, though.
So on a quick sort of passing note, just to sort of reiterate that folks on welfare are the worst of the worst, and there is no crime worse than being born poor and not being able to
scum.
Pick yourself up by your bootstraps.
There's scum who don't want to work.
There's a new law that says that with your EBT card, the card they give you with your food stamps and that you can use for food or that you can use for cash if you get cash assistance, you can no longer use that card at ATM machines that are located inside of liquor stores. ATMs. You're right.
I'm sorry, pet peeve.
No, I'm with you there. You can't use it in ATMs inside of liquor stores, gambling facilities, or adult establishments. Because, you know, when I was on food stamps and was getting like assistance because I was really freaking poor and I had broken my neck and wasn't able to walk anymore.
Sure, yeah.
I was really looking forward to like going down to the liquor store, getting myself like a big bottle of something, and then go in to like catch a striptease.
Of course you are, Skylar. You're poor. That's what you do.
Obviously.
That's what you do. That's what you use your food stamps for. And if you'd only just get a damn decent real job, broken neck, whatever. Look, somebody will hire you. This is America.
And that's sort of the opinion the legislature has of the poor, basically, that they're all going out and
the opinion that the country tends to have as a poor, and you know the media feeds that. But it's ridiculous, man. It's like how do we? Some of these statistics that I read, sometimes blow my mind. How do we in this country have? How is there such a high infant mortality rate in America? Our infant mortality rate is ridiculous. They did a survey of like 25 developed nations based on infant mortality. We ranked 25th. We ranked 24th. We were just ahead of Romania.
On so many like measurements of like what I would consider to be civilization, we are way behind the rest of the world.
Oh God.
But
we got to go into all these other Arab countries and tell them to do things our way, because your lives will improve.
Yeah. So on the note of
sorry, I'm ranting.
The American power structure being the best and brightest and smartest and most pure and positive and all that stuff.
Oh, I think I know what's coming. Is it time?
Police coming straight from the underground. A young nigga got it bad 'cause I'm brown.